Left unchecked.
We're talking about Lyme disease. The number of recorded cases has risen sharply in recent years, leading experts to warn that more needs to be done to diagnose it and to treat it.
It is a bacterial infection that is spread by infected ticks. According to figures from Public Health England, cases in England and Wales tripled between 2003 and 2013.
And NHS England estimates that there are between 2,000 and 3,000 new cases in England and Wales every year.
So why has there been such an increase, and what is it like, and what's it like to have it as well? We're joined now by research scientist Dr. Chris Newton and Sophie Kellaway, who was diagnosed with Lyme disease 3 years ago. Morning both. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning.
Morning, Sophie. So I just wanted, it started, didn't it, with a bite and you didn't know what it was. Just tell us what happened.
So I was camping at a festival in Slovenia and I just woke up one morning with a hole in the back of my leg. Didn't think anything of it. I got home and a week later I developed this rash around it. And I don't remember having any symptoms then. I might have had a cold and just written it off as such, not knowing that that was what to look out for. And it gradually got worse until I took steroids, and one day I just woke up and I couldn't walk anymore.
That's very dramatic. So I'm turning your life upside down.
Quite literally, yeah. I was bedbound for about 4 months from that point.
And how long did it take you to work out what it was?
I think it was around 6 months. I just trusted the doctors when they were telling me it was a virus.
So it took a long time. Why do you think, we've seen now an increase in cases, why do you think that is, first of all?
I think partially it's the awareness. People are more aware that Lyme disease could be a problem. I mean, we lived in Germany in the 90s, and we're always very familiar with the problem of ticks biting in forestry areas. And of course that wasn't the perception in this country. It's now more the perception that it could be a problem. So to some extent it's education.
So it's not more people actually getting bitten and contracting disease,
well,
it's just that they know that it's happening now.
Yeah, partly, I think. I mean, it may be that more of us are actually having sort of free time. We're out in the sort of countryside and, you know, walking, cycling, this sort of thing. Perhaps, you know, even in gardens. I mean, we have ticks in our garden. Of course, the dogs get bitten, and that's one of the things. You know, the tick drops off, the dog jumps in bed, for example, and so you've got that possibility of transfer that way.
Right, so what should people be looking out for? We've just been seeing pictures, haven't we, of sort of, it seems to be quite a rash,
yes,
but what particular things?
That could be the first sign, but it's not always. So
yes.
People can be bitten and not know. If you're lucky, well, not lucky to be bitten, but if you're lucky, you're bitten and have a rash, because then at least you've got something to show to the GP and say, look, you know, this needs something doing about it.
And this is the key thing, it's the test, isn't it, Sophie? In fact, you've established a group aimed at advancing research on it.
Yeah, so we have a charity now, as we found that the NHS test gives a lot of false negatives. I personally had to get my diagnosis and treatment in Germany, where they are, as Chris has said, experts in it, because they have so many more cases.
So if they have the test in Germany, why can't we have the test here? Is it very complicated?
No. Maybe
I can come in.
Yes, please.
I mean, the testing at the moment is with it's a serology test. So you take a blood sample and you look for antibodies to the organism. Now, over the last 20 years, there's been various tests developed, but they have a sensitivity. In other words, the number of people that are clinically diagnosed out of 100 that come back positive is between sort of 18 and 60%, so it's quite poor.
So you did eventually get antibiotics. I understand if they're given earlier, it really can help. How are you now?
I've been symptom-free completely for 18 months. Last month I walked 50 miles for charity, so I'd say I'm 100% back to normal with the treatment.
And very briefly, to avoid getting Lyme disease, don't get bitten by a tick. Does that mean just sort of wearing socks above your ankles, or what?
Well, I think not to be scared. Go out in the countryside, enjoy yourself. But, you know, if you've got the kids with you, check them when they're back in the house, and the same for, you know, adults.
Chris, thanks very much. Sophie, thanks to you as well, and glad you're better.
Thanks, Sophie. Let's catch up with the